Google just did something that should be front page news on every newspaper in America. Over the last 18 months, they have quietly eliminated over 30,000 positions across the company. Not consolidated, not restructured, eliminated. But here's the part that should genuinely terrify you if you work in any office in this country. They didn't just cut those jobs, they replaced them with artificial intelligence. And when they did it, their stock price didn't drop. It went up. Their revenue didn't fall. It hit all-time highs. Their productivity didn't suffer. It stayed the same or improved. Google just proved to every CEO in America that you can fire tens of thousands of people, replace them with software, and come out the other side richer than you were before. Let me show you exactly what happened, department by department, because this story is much bigger than Google. This is the playbook, and your company is reading it right now. Let me walk you through the timeline because when you lay these events out in order, a pattern emerges that nobody in the mainstream media has connected, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. January 2023, Google announces 12,000 layoffs. This was massive. It made headlines everywhere. Every news outlet covered it. The story was framed as a correction. Google overhired during the pandemic boom, the ad market softened, and they needed to trim. That was the narrative. And most people accepted it and moved on with their lives. But then 2024 happened, and the layoffs didn't stop. Thousands more positions were cut throughout the year, but these cuts were different. They were quieter. They came in smaller waves. A few hundred here, a team dissolved there, a department restructured somewhere else. No single announcement was big enough to dominate the news cycle the way the 12,000 number did in 2023. So each individual round of cuts got covered for about half a day and then disappeared. Nobody added them up. Nobody connected them to the original 12,000. Nobody asked why a company with record revenue kept cutting headcount. Then 2025. More restructuring announcements. More reorganizations. More quiet eliminations of positions that were never posted for rehire. Google kept using the word efficiency over and over and over. Every earnings call, every internal memo, every public statement from leadership. Efficiency, optimization, streamlining. And behind every one of those words, real people were losing their jobs. And now in 2026, we can see what actually happened. Internal AI systems at Google are now performing the work that entire teams of humans used to do. The jobs didn't come back because they were never supposed to come back. The layoffs weren't a correction, they were a transition. Google was systematically replacing human workers with AI, department by department, quarter by quarter, and spreading the cuts out over 18 months so that no single announcement would trigger the kind of public backlash that a headline reading "Google replaces 30,000 workers with machines" would have caused. And the proof is in the financials. Google's revenue is at all-time highs. Their productivity metrics haven't declined. The work is still getting done. But the people who used to do that work are gone. The cost savings from eliminating 30,000 salaries, plus benefits, plus office space, plus training, plus management overhead, those savings went straight to the bottom line. Operating margins increased, profits increased, the stock price climbed, and if you're an investor, you looked at Google's numbers and said, this company is doing more with less. This is a well-run operation. Buy. That's how you eliminate 30,000 jobs, and nobody notices. You do it slowly. You do it quietly. And you make sure the financial results look so good that nobody asks where the people went. Now let me show you specifically what AI replaced at Google, because this is where it gets concrete and this is where it starts to apply to your life, whether you work at Google or not. Start with the ad optimization team. This was one of the largest groups affected. Google's advertising business is the engine that drives the entire company. It generates the vast majority of their revenue. And for years, that advertising business relied on thousands of human specialists whose job was to optimize ad targeting, manage campaigns, adjust bidding strategies, analyze performance data, and ensure that advertisers were getting the best return on their spend. These were skilled people. Many of them had degrees in marketing, data science, or business. They were paid well, and they were good at their jobs. But Google's AI is better. Google's ad optimization AI now handles over 80% of the ad targeting and campaign management that human specialists used to do. 80%. The AI analyzes billions of data points across user behavior, search patterns, browsing history, purchase intent, and 100 other signals, and it makes targeting decisions in milliseconds that used to take a human team days to figure out. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't take vacations, it doesn't require months of training when the platform updates. It just runs around the clock, optimizing billions of dollars in ad spend with a precision that no human team could match. So what happened to the thousands of ad specialists? Some were reassigned, some were let go. And many of their positions simply disappeared during the restructuring waves of 2024 and 2025. The work they did still gets done. It gets done by machines. And Google's ad revenue has continued to grow, which means the AI isn't just as good as the humans were. In terms of pure optimization, it may be better. Customer support. Google Cloud is a massive business serving companies around the world, and supporting those companies used to require a large team of human support agents who handled technical questions, billing issues, implementation problems, and general troubleshooting. AI chatbots now handle roughly 70% of Google Cloud support tickets without any human involvement at all. The customer submits a ticket or starts a chat, and an AI system diagnoses the issue, provides a solution, and resolves the interaction. Most customers don't even realize they're talking to a machine because the AI has been trained on millions of previous support interactions and can handle the vast majority of scenarios. The human agents who remain handle only the most complex, high-value, or unusual cases, and there are far fewer of them than there used to be. Content moderation on YouTube. This is a big one. YouTube is the largest video platform in the world, and moderating the content uploaded to it is a monumental task. Every minute, hundreds of hours of video are uploaded. Scanning that content for violations, hate speech, violence, misinformation, copyright infringement, and 1,000 other policy issues used to require an army of human moderators. We're talking about more than 10,000 people whose job was to watch videos and make judgment calls about whether they violated YouTube's policies. AI now does the overwhelming majority of that work. Google's content moderation AI flags, reviews, and removes content that those 10,000 plus moderators used to handle. The humans who remain in content moderation are there for edge cases, appeals, and the most nuanced judgment calls. But the bulk of the work, the daily fire hose of content that needs to be evaluated, that's AI now. Code writing. This one should alarm every software engineer in America. Google's DeepMind division has developed AI systems that can write functional code at a level that handles tasks previously assigned to junior engineering teams. I'm not talking about autocomplete suggestions or simple code snippets. I'm talking about entire features, entire modules, being generated by AI with minimal human oversight. The junior engineers who used to write boilerplate code, implement standard features, fix routine bugs, and handle the foundational coding work that senior engineers didn't have time for, much of that work is now being done by AI. Google still employs senior engineers. It still needs the people who make architectural decisions, design complex systems, and exercise the kind of deep technical judgment that comes from years of experience. But the entry-level and junior-level coding work that used to be the pipeline for developing those senior engineers, that pipeline is drying up. Sales support. Google has a massive sales organization that works with advertisers and enterprise clients, and supporting that sales team used to require a large back-office operation. People who generated proposals, people who built pitch decks, people who compiled data for client meetings, people who handled the administrative side of the sales process so that the salespeople could focus on relationships and closing deals. AI now generates proposals, creates pitch decks, compiles client data, and produces the materials that sales teams need automatically. Entire sales support teams have been dissolved. The salespeople who remain have AI tools that do in minutes what a support team used to spend days preparing. Translation. Google Translate has been around for years, but the quality of AI translation has improved so dramatically that Google has eliminated contract translator positions that used to be essential for localizing products, documentation, and content across dozens of languages. The human translators who brought cultural nuance and linguistic expertise to the work have been replaced by AI that can translate at scale, instantly, across more languages than any human team could cover. Department by department, floor by floor, team by team. Google replaced humans with machines. And they did it while the world was watching, but somehow not seeing. Now let's talk about the stock price, because this is where the real story lives. Not in the press releases, not in the corporate statements, in the market's reaction. Every single round of layoffs at Google was followed by a stock price increase. Every one. When 12,000 people lost their jobs in January 2023, the stock went up. When additional cuts were announced throughout 2024, the stock went up. When restructuring continued into 2025 and 2026, the stock went up. Wall Street rewarded Google every single time they announced that fewer humans would be doing the work. And this isn't unique to Google. I covered this exact same pattern with Meta on this channel, and with Block, and with every other company that has announced AI-driven workforce reductions. The market's response is always the same. Fewer employees plus same or higher revenue equals higher stock price. That's the equation, and every CEO in America can see it. Google's operating margin increased while their headcount decreased. Let me say that more simply. They made more money per dollar of revenue because they were paying fewer humans. Revenue went up. Employees went down. Profits went up. Stock went up. This is not a complicated story, it's a math story. And the math says that replacing humans with AI is the single most profitable operational decision a company can make right now. This is the new corporate playbook. Fire humans. Deploy AI. Watch your stock price climb. Google wrote the playbook. Meta copied it. Amazon is executing it. And every Fortune 500 company in America has a copy on their desk right now. Now let me decode what Sundar Pichai has actually been saying, because corporate language is designed to obscure the truth, and I want you to understand what these words actually mean when a CEO says them. When Sundar Pichai says we need to be more efficient, what he means is we are replacing you. Efficiency in corporate language never means we're going to help our employees work better. It means we're going to need fewer employees. Always. Every single time. When a CEO uses the word efficiency, someone is about to lose their job. When he says Google is an AI-first company, what that means is AI does the work, not you. AI first means that every decision, every process, every workflow is evaluated first through the lens of whether AI can handle it. And if AI can, a human doesn't get assigned to it. The human who used to do that work becomes redundant. When he says we are streamlining operations, what that means is your team is being dissolved. Streamlining is corporate language for removing layers, eliminating roles, and consolidating work into fewer hands, or in this case, into no hands at all, just algorithms. When he says we are doing more with less, what that means is we are doing the same work with AI instead of with you. More with less. More output. Less people. That's the translation. That's always the translation. I want you to remember this for the rest of your career. When a CEO says efficiency, what they mean is your job. When they say optimization, what they mean is your department. When they say streamlining, what they mean is your position. And when they say AI first, what they mean is humans last. So who at Google is still safe? Because not everyone at Google is being replaced. The cuts are targeted, and understanding who's being kept and who's being let go tells you everything about what skills will matter in the next decade. Safe, at least for now, AI researchers. The people who build the AI that replaces everyone else. These are the most protected employees at Google because they are creating the product that makes the entire strategy possible. You can't automate the people building the automation. Not yet. Safe. Senior engineers who work on complex system architecture. The people who design large-scale systems, make architectural decisions that affect millions of users, and exercise the kind of deep technical judgment that AI cannot replicate. These are the people who don't just write code. They decide what should be built, why, and how it all fits together. Safe. The hardware team. The people who build, maintain, and manage Google's massive physical data center infrastructure. AI runs on physical servers in physical buildings that require physical human beings to install, maintain, cool, repair, and expand. You can't automate the physical infrastructure that AI depends on to exist. At risk. Junior engineers, the ones who write routine code, fix standard bugs, and implement features based on specifications handed to them by senior engineers. AI coding tools are taking over more of this work every quarter. At risk. Marketing analysts, the people who pull data, build reports, identify trends, and present findings. AI does all of that faster and more comprehensively than a human analyst. At risk. HR coordinators, scheduling, screening resumes, managing onboarding paperwork, answering policy questions. All highly automatable, all being automated. At risk. Content reviewers, the human moderators who used to review flagged content on YouTube and other platforms. AI handles the bulk of this now. Gone. Contract workers, temps, support staff. These were the first to go because they had the least job protection and their work was the most clearly defined and repeatable. If your role at Google was based on a contract rather than full-time employment, you were the first line item that got deleted. Now here's why this matters even if you've never applied to Google and have no intention of ever working there. Here's why a story about a tech company in Mountain View, California should keep you up at night regardless of where you live or what industry you work in. Because every Fortune 500 company in America watches what Google does. Google is not just a company, it's a template. When Google proves that a strategy works, the rest of corporate America follows. When Google proved that remote work could be productive, thousands of companies adopted remote policies. When Google proved that open office plans could work, every startup in America tore out its cubicles. And now Google has proved something much more consequential. Google has proved that you can replace 30,000 workers with AI, maintain or increase productivity, cut costs dramatically, and be rewarded by Wall Street for doing it. Meta saw it and followed the same playbook. Amazon saw it and is executing the same strategy. Salesforce saw it and declared that they would never hire another customer service agent. IBM saw it and froze hiring for nearly 8,000 positions. These are not independent decisions. These are dominoes. Google pushed the first one, and the rest are falling in a line that extends into every industry in America. And here's what that means for you. Your local insurance company, your regional bank, your mid-size marketing firm, your hospital's administrative department, your accounting office, your HR team, they are all watching what Google did, and they are all asking themselves the same question. Can we do this too? Can we deploy AI tools, reduce headcount, maintain output, and increase our margins? And the answer, increasingly, is yes. Google isn't just replacing their own workers, they're showing every company in America how to replace yours. The tools Google uses internally are being commercialized and sold to businesses of every size through Google Cloud, through Workspace, through the AI products that Google markets to enterprise customers. The same AI that replaced a Google Ad specialist will be available to your company's marketing department. The same AI that replaced a Google support agent is being packaged as a product for your company's customer service team. Google doesn't just use AI to eliminate its own workforce. It sells AI so that other companies can eliminate theirs. Your company will follow the same playbook within 12 to 24 months, maybe sooner. The technology is available. The financial incentive is overwhelming. The case study has been proven by one of the most respected companies on the planet. The only question is how fast your company's leadership moves. So what do you do right now, whether you work at a tech company or a trucking company or a law firm or a school district? The signals are the same and the response needs to be the same. If you work at a tech company, read the signals. If your company is talking about efficiency, if they're deploying AI tools across departments, if hiring has slowed or stopped, if teams are getting restructured, the Google playbook is already being executed at your organization. Don't wait for the layoff announcement. Start positioning yourself now. If you work in any office environment in any industry, the Google playbook is coming for you. It may take longer, it may happen in stages, but the fundamental equation, AI plus fewer humans equals same output at lower cost, applies everywhere. It applies to accounting, it applies to marketing, it applies to legal, it applies to human resources, it applies to customer support. If your daily work involves sitting at a computer, processing information, and producing output that follows identifiable patterns, the same AI that replaced a Google employee can replace you, not because you're less talented, not because you're not valuable, because the work itself is automatable and the financial incentive to automate it is irresistible. 3 specific things to protect yourself. First, shift from doing the work to managing the work. The people who survive AI transitions at every company are the ones who move from being the person who executes tasks to the person who oversees outcomes. Don't be the person who generates the report. Be the person who decides what reports need to exist, interprets their meaning, and makes strategic decisions based on what they say. Execution gets automated. Strategy doesn't, at least not yet. Second, build skills that Google specifically cannot replace with AI. Relationship building, not networking at conferences. Real relationship building. The ability to sit across from a client or a partner or a colleague and create the kind of trust and rapport that makes business happen. Complex negotiation, crisis leadership, the ability to manage human beings through uncertainty, conflict, and change. These skills are more valuable now than they've ever been because everything around them is being automated and they're what's left. Third, create your own leverage. If your only source of income is your salary from one employer, you are completely dependent on that employer's decision about whether to keep you or replace you. Start building something on the side, a skill set, a freelance practice, a credential in an AI-resistant field, a network that could lead to opportunities if your current position disappears. Not because your job is definitely going away tomorrow, but because having options is the difference between being in control of your career and being at the mercy of someone else's spreadsheet. The question isn't whether this is coming to your industry. The question is whether you'll be ready when it does. And if you start now, you will be. If you haven't seen my breakdown of how Meta executed this same playbook, watch it next. It's on screen right now. The parallels between what Google did and what Meta did are almost identical, and seeing both of them together will give you the complete picture of how corporate America is approaching AI replacement. Drop your company name in the comments. Tell me if you're seeing the same patterns where you work, the same language about efficiency, the same hiring freezes, the same quiet team reductions, because I can almost guarantee that for every person watching this video, at least some of these signals are already visible at your workplace. And the more we share what we're seeing, the better prepared all of us become. Subscribe to this channel. I track every major company replacing workers with AI. I cover the layoffs, the technology, the corporate strategies, and most importantly, the steps you can take to stay ahead of it every single week, so that you are never the last person to find out that your job is on the list. I'll see you in the next one.